Here's the rest of my broccoli, and in between the broccolis. So here's a look at it. But I plant them in a 288 tray. So I'm trying to pick the biggest ones. Hi, and happy spring. Spring's finally here. It's mid-April. We've had very wet weather and very cold, so it's finally time to start getting this garden back together. So we're gonna be doing a lot of stuff today. We gotta get our beds ready. I gotta get some onions planted, compost in the garden. This year is a big rotation year, so we're gonna be rotating a lot of the beds. And most importantly, I had to get those onions that I planted in the wintertime in the ground so they can start growing. This was just full of weeds a couple days ago, and we just weed whack them down, and Tom will rototill everything real good, and then he'll bring in a lot of compost to put in the beds. So the other thing was very important about keeping a plan of your garden is when you rotate, like tomatoes, you can't put nightshades in the same beds year after year after year. So that means you can't put peppers or potatoes or tomatoes in the same bed. So even though you move things, you have to make sure you don't put them in like my tomatoes. I can't put my tomatoes in my pepper bed because it's the same thing. They're nightshades. So how we plan our garden is Tom always makes up a plot plan for it, and every row has a number. And so then we can keep track of when we rotate things and what's gonna go where. And that way he doesn't have to worry about me just going and putting something in the wrong bed when he planned to put it somewhere else, so nothing shades it out too much. So having some kind of plan for your garden is very helpful, because if you don't, you might wind up having something that needs a lot of sun being shaded by my tall cucumbers or my tomatoes. So that's why we follow a little plan. All right, so this bed right here was cucumbers last year, so I don't want to plant cucumbers in this bed again. So I'm going to be planting my onions in this bed instead, and the cucumbers are going to be moved 2 beds over. And that way, having a plan, you can kind of remember what you did, because you will forget. So just a little tip. Well, when Tom's doing this, I'll take you around, I'll show you the rest of the garden, and I'll show you in the greenhouse and show you how everything's going on in there. All right, let's go. All right, so I'll show you around the garden. This was tomatoes, and this is getting moved. This is gonna be cucumbers, so all this has to come out when we start planting cucumbers. These are the beds Tom's working on. So over the winter, you got all the leaves. We're gonna have to get all this netting up over here because this is getting moved. All the netting that we reuse, when we take down our netting, what we do is we put up some T-posts, and then we just hang the netting up so it doesn't get all tangled up, and then we can reuse all that netting. Everything's kind of a wreck, but that's what it's like in the springtime. So here's the look at the greenhouse. So we have some broccoli planted over here in this bed. Here's my winter spinach, which is growing like crazy. You would not believe I took so much off of that already. And my bunching onions. Then I got different kohlrabies right here, and kohlrabies over here, broccoli. This is my winter lettuce. It's all that's left from my winter lettuce. My Swiss chards from the winter. I planted that, I don't remember when, probably December maybe. And then here is some kale, and these are my lettuces for right now. Here's the rest of my broccoli, and in between the broccolis, I planted my Chinese cabbage. The spinach, that's doing really well. But you know, spinach, as soon as it gets hot, it stops growing. That's when I go to Swiss chard, because Swiss chard I use exactly the same way I use spinach. I just take the stalks off and I use the leaves. It tastes just like spinach, and you can grow that all summer. And here I have my kohlrabies. You see my kohlrabies are just starting right there, little baby kohlrabies. And here I got more broccoli, and I had this space and I had lettuce, so I just put it in the middle. So that's just what I threw in here for now until I can get the main garden outside producing. And I have my transplants out here. This is what's going to be planting in the main garden. I got my celeries and parsleys, I got some cauliflower and some more broccoli. That's for the outside. Then I got my onions that I'm going to plant today. Then this is exciting. These are my flowers and herbs. Got these outside for now. And I have them on this cart and I can just wheel them right into the greenhouse. So that's a look at the garden. In a few weeks it's going to look a lot different. Tom's getting ready to rototill. And our beds are 3 feet wide, and pathways that we have are 18 inches. That has worked very well for us over the years. So here's a look at it after it's rototilled. And now we're going to be putting some compost on here. Get some nice organic matter in here. And that really helps the vegetables take off. I don't know. Tom's garden bed looks better than the compost he's bringing down. Because every year we put more and more compost. Really rich and organic. This will be a nice carrot bed. It's actually starting to look like a garden again. Now we're not using this bed right away, so we covered it up. And also we're not using that bed yet. So Tom's putting a time release fertilizer down. Now he's going to get our bucket of potash. We save all our wood ash from our wood burning stove, and then we put it down in the garden. This is our onion bed, and we put the onions in paper. Cuts down on any weeding. I'm good. I'm good too. I planted these in the house on 2.5. I made a little short video on it, but I planted them in a 288 tray, and see, they come right out. They're very small. They're perfect. We have a thing called a stand and plant. Okay, it's a stand and plant cedar. They fit great in here, or if you have seeds, you can use this for bigger seeds also. So this is great because we just take the transplant, stick it in here, drop it into the hole. This is why I love using this. This makes planting onions so easy. And these are my Walla Wallas. So you can see that it actually makes a hole and puts it in. Now I just have to go back in and firm them up. So you just take that. That's so easy. So I'll get the rest of the row in and then I'll firm them all up at the same time. I have the sticks here because the first one's going to be Walla Walla, then Patterson, then Blush. Blush is my favorite tasting onion. And then I'm going to have a red, I think it's Atomic Red. And then I have Red of Florence. That's a specialty onion, the torpedo type onions. Okay, next we're doing Patterson. And Patterson is a nice storing onion. Same with Blush. Also stores for a long time. It's working out really good.
Are you talking to me or them?
Talking to you. The past couple of years, I've been buying my onions from Dixondale Onion Farm. And this is the first time in a few years that I've actually grown my own seed. I'm trying to pick out the biggest ones. If you watched my previous video on onions, the Blush, I had a problem with them germinating. So I had to reseed a whole bunch of them. So I'm trying to pick the biggest ones.
Akatamo?
Okay, it's not Atomic Red. It's something called like Akatamo. I can't pronounce it right. I'm not sure, but it's a red onion from Baker Creek. So, all right, now we just got Red of Florence. So there's a look at the onions. It's 144, all planted and watered. And now I just got to go get the tags. I forgot to bring them down. Put those in there so I don't forget what kind they are. So that's how we plant our onions. We got one bed down. We got 2 more to go. All right, so we got the 3 beds of onions planted. I'm hoping they do well. So we have a lot of onions to eat during the winter. We also got a lot of beds prepped and ready to go. So next time we're going to be planting our carrots, our snap peas, and some dill. So I hope you come back and watch my garden grow. Bye-bye.